kick-ass switch, putting the K in magic. I'm Joanna DeVoe, and you are watching a little video on spiritual development and how you never really reach the end as long as you are alive on the planet. Hopefully you just saw the interview that I did with Teal Scott. It is an awesome interview, one of my all-time favorites. She's a wonderful spiritual teacher, and during that interview I asked her about money, because for me, money and manifesting abundance in my life is actually a spiritual issue that I have been having over the last, I don't know, my entire adult life. But it's something I've been really working on the last few years, and I specifically dedicated this year too, because I'm very good at manifesting money in the form of gifts and unexpected money. But when it comes to earning money, I noticed, even using everything that I understand about the law of attraction, and of course applying myself physically and doing the work, that I will get the ball rolling and the money will come in, and then all of a sudden something in me just freezes. And I haven't been able to put my finger on what it is inside me that kind of puts the brakes on almost every time. I do that again and again and again and again. And so that's just something that baffles me about myself. So I asked her, and what she said totally like, ugh, I didn't want to hear it, but that's because it's the truth. And she said that's really not an issue of manifesting money. It's an issue of self-doubt. It's an insecurity you have within yourself, and the way to address it is to work on developing more self-worth, which is so ironic because I literally wrote a book about self-love. My Hippie Witch Peace Love and all that good shit outlines 7 steps to creating self-love for yourself in a way that is practical, that is not just, you know, an airy-fairy idea. There's steps that you can actually do. They're the things that have worked in my life and have helped me improve my self-esteem and have a sense of self-love and to really enjoy my life and to stop being such a victim. So when she said that, I was a little like, what are you talking about? I wrote the book on self-love, lady. But I've been around long enough to know that when my ego kind of like flares up like that, I'm right over an issue that needs to be carefully looked at. So then later on that evening, for those of you who don't know, I'm also in a band called Obedient Waves, and we just got the ball up and rolling again online after like 2.5 years of being on hiatus. And so we're starting to post videos online, and right after I did that interview, or that night, some punk kid, a 16-year-old boy from the UK, he left a comment saying, "No offense, but you guys would be loads better without the woman." And I was just like, ooh. And it just totally like tapped way deeply into my insecurities and feeling of self-doubt. My knee-jerk reaction was to write him back and be like, you have no idea what you're talking about. There would be no band without me. I write all the songs and blah, 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 blah. And of course I stopped myself because A, he was a 16-year-old kid, and B, I know better by now, but that doesn't mean that I still didn't have that reaction, and he like pushed that button in me. And so I just had to laugh at myself and be like, okay, like I hear you, spirit, or whoever's trying to send me this message. Like I really do need to continue working on my sense of self-worth, so that when somebody leaves me a nasty comment like that, which they totally are gonna do when a girly girl who does not play an instrument is fronting a punk rock band, I'm going to get comments like that. I got them before. I just need to be able to let them roll off my back and just go with the flow. And in addition to this, the following day, it was like a whole weekend of learning this lesson, Oprah interviewed this man whose name I totally forget. Maybe I'll post it down below so you guys can check out the book that he wrote and the interview that he did with Oprah for Super Soul Sunday. But he was talking about when something like, you know, gets your scruff up like that you just take a step back and you just let it like pass you by, or you know, it's interacting out here while you're like stepped back in your center, you're in the seat of your soul, your heart center, however you want to describe it. And that's actually what I had done when I read that comment, because I've been practicing these principles for a long time, many years. So I was able to, after I caught myself react, I was able to like take myself out of the situation and just kind of laugh and let it go. I don't approve those comments, of course, because any of the channels I'm a part of, it's not a forum for people to badmouth me or be rude, so I never approve those comments. I just delete. Sometimes I block the person if they're particularly rude, but I don't think this kid meant any offense. I think he was just giving his genuine opinion. So yeah, this is really just how I personally am still learning the lessons that I'm trying to teach and share, and that's something that Teal also talked about. I asked her at the end of the interview, I said, well, what about you? You know, you talk about sex and money and parenting and all these things with such wisdom and confidence in what you're saying. Do you actually feel that you have mastered those areas of your life? And she just laughed and said no, and that anybody who claims to be at the end of the road of enlightenment is either fooling themselves or fooling you, and you shouldn't listen to them. So I thought that that was great, and so I learned a very important lesson again, the same lesson that I'm still learning and still working on, and I hope that in sharing it with you that maybe it touched something in you and that we can learn this lesson together. So love yourself, practice developing your own sense of self-worth, and much love to you. Peace.